This is one of our quads that was born a couple weeks ago.
Oh, they're so nice.
Thank you for those kids.
Oh my goodness.
I'm Jillian, a soon-to-be LSU graduate, journalist, and cooking enthusiast on a mission to inspire a deeper connection to the food that we eat.
Welcome to my kitchen.
I'm traveling around the state to meet the hardworking farmers and ranchers behind market booths and grocery store shelves, and to explore the journey my favorite ingredients make to my plate. So join me on a culinary adventure around the Bayou State to hear the stories behind the farmland we drive past on I-10, I-49, and all of the country roads in between. Let's discover what's made in Louisiana. Today we're in Franklinton, Louisiana at Circle Inn Farms, which is the home of Southern Maids Dairy, one of only 2 producer-processor dairies in the state making Creole cream cheese. My introduction to Southern Maids Dairy began at the Red Stick Farmers Market. As a market regular, I'm always hoping to see a new booth on Saturdays. When the Millers arrived with my favorite cheese, goat cheese, I wasn't the only shopper to take notice.
My name is Nathan Miller. My wife Erin and I own Southern Maids Dairy in Franklinton, Louisiana.
Since 2020, Southern Maids Dairy has developed a large selection of goat milk products sold in New Orleans, Hammond, and other locations in Louisiana.
We do a pasteurized goat milk, a plain 5 probiotic yogurt, Creole cream cheese. We make plain goat cheese, chev or chevre, however you want to pronounce it. We make a couple different types of feta, a crumbled feta, a slab. Then do a whipped version of that, which is mixed with our yogurt that you can use as a dip or like a spread. And then we take extra feta and make marinated feta with it. And then we use our goat cheese also in our cheesecakes that we make.
Nathan says each weekend in Baton Rouge at the Red Stick Farmers Market is more successful than the last, but this all started as a project for his family.
My wife and I, about 8 years ago, decided to purchase a few goats for our homestead, and so we were getting ready to have children, and we purchased 4 or 5 of them, and now 8 or 9 years later, we own the largest goat dairy in the state of Louisiana, producer-processor goat dairy.
The Millers say they fell in love with the process of making their own products and continued to learn more ways to use their milk. Luckily, they have a lot of it.
I think we're milking at the moment 43 from this year, and we are going through about, I think we got 32 gallons yesterday total, with about 90 more does to kill.
Wow,
so
that's a lot of
swimming in some milk.
The cheese-making process starts in the dairy barn, where goats are milked twice a day, about 12 hours apart.
So here we are in our dairy barn. We milk 8 at a time. This is also where they get the little bit amount of feed that they eat every day. We don't feed a whole lot of feed. They get alfalfa and peanut hay in front of them 24/7. But we bring the animals out of the dough barn that's behind us. They come here, they come up on this section. We'll feed milk, and then they'll exit behind me and then go back out into the dairy barn, or into the dough barn that's back behind us. We are still a little bit archaic, but we're doing 8 at a time and trying to get into a position to grow to be able to do more than that.
Back in the cheese room, Southern Maids Dairy has a cheesemaker who comes in daily to keep the goat cheese, feta, and Creole cream cheese processes moving.
So we come in, we'll pasteurize first. That's a 14-gallon pasteurizer. So we'll pasteurize first, then chill our milk down, and then from here, you'll see that we go into buckets. We break it down into a little bit smaller application. This is what still works for us at the moment in our facility. It allows us to really hone into smaller batches where, in my opinion, things tend to...
Sometimes things can go wrong whenever you're on a large scale. But
if I'm going to screw up something, it's going to be in a small batch.
Right.
And then so this will sit for a day, 24 hours, and then from that point we pour, we start hanging. It will dry or hang and lose weight for 24 hours. At which point we'll then take it down. We'll salt it individually in the batches, and then we go from there where it sets again. And this will be ready tomorrow, and then we'll put it in the cooler from that point where we can then turn around and sell it.
So is this the feta?
This is feta here. And so what we did as well was we start with the pasteurization behind us. It then goes into buckets. Feta is a lot quicker process on the cheese making side. It takes an hour to culture, and then from that point then an hour to rennet and set. And then we take it and pour it in here where it'll drain, and then tomorrow morning we'll cut it and slab it and then salt it at that point.
While the feta and goat cheese is draining and setting, the Creole cream cheese is developing in the refrigerator.
So we poured this Creole cream cheese this morning, and what it does is it's going to stay cupped in here for 2 days as it loses its way and drains, and then we will we'll process it even further from there and get it ready for retail sale.
It's a unique, nostalgic Louisiana tradition that Southern Maids Dairy refuses to lose.
If you're from Louisiana or you've lived here, it ought to be something that you've at least tried. What we try to tell people is it's pretty similar to regular cream cheese. It's not as dense. For us, it has more of like a flan type texture when you eat it.
They make cheese with just what's necessary: milk, cheese cultures, rennet, and cheese salt.
It cuts down on some of your time that you have to eat it, but at the end you're dealing with a product that's true of itself without a whole lot of other stuff in it.
Circle M Farms' primary product may be cheese, but new ideas and projects are popping up around its 40 acres in Washington Parish. Very sweet. Oh my goodness. It's like a big cat or dog.
Like a big dog. I call them water pigs. Hey, girlie. Hey. Hey.
Nathan plans on expanding his menu with buffalo milk products soon, meaning Southern Maids Dairy mozzarella and what I'm most excited for, burrata, might be in markets and restaurants near you. Aside from expanding their offerings, the Millers are directing their focus to new additions, from buildings to their newborn baby. Ultimately, Nathan and Erin hope to share what they've learned over the last decade with classes and seminars hosted on their property.
We've grown into the position of really enjoying sharing that passion with other folks, and what we can do not only for them, but then they can take what we do and make it do stuff like that and make it even better.
We're back in my kitchen now, and we're gonna make a goat cheese caramelized onion and pepper jelly tart using the goat cheese from Southern Maids Dairy. So this recipe is super simple. The only prep work it really takes is caramelizing the onion. I thinly sliced one large onion and then cooked it over low heat for a little over an hour. I do have a helpful tip in the recipe on how to make that process a little bit faster, so definitely read the recipe. I'm using a store-bought puff pastry for this. Extra points if you make your own, but like I said, let's keep this super simple. So I'm just using a nice store-bought puff pastry. So we want this tart to have a nice pretty border around it, so about 1 inch in. I'm gonna make a slice almost all the way through the pastry, but not all the way, just around the border. On the inside square, I'm puncturing it with my fork a few times. That way the air has a place to come out of and the puff pastry doesn't bubble up a bunch in the middle where all the toppings are. It's kind of fun. Next, we're gonna take a little egg wash, which is just an egg mixed with a splash of water, and paint it on the rim. That way it's nice and golden brown after it bakes. Now that the pastry is prepped, we can start putting down all of the toppings. I'm gonna spread about 1/2 cup of pepper jelly in an even layer in the inner square. So pepper jelly is a super common condiment in Louisiana, and now that I think of it, it may just be a Louisiana thing, but it's sweet, it's a little spicy, a little tangy from the vinegar. It's really just like a well-rounded condiment, but if you can't find that, something else that would work would be like a bacon jam. That would be really good on this. Now I'm spreading the caramelized onions in one even layer. So this is about 4 ounces of goat cheese that I've crumbled from Southern Maids Dairy. Anywhere from 2 to 4 ounces should be good. Basically put as much as you want until you're happy with it. So when I tested this recipe out, it was so good, but it needed a little bit of brightness, something fresh, something green, especially because there's a lot of brown going on. And so I put about a teaspoon of fresh thyme leaves just sprinkled around, and that should liven it up a little bit. Finally, I'm doing a little layer of cracked black pepper. We're gonna transfer this over to a baking sheet, and then we're gonna bake it at 400 degrees, anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes, until the crust is nice and golden brown and the cheese is melted and everything just looks bubbly and delicious. It was in the oven for about 24 minutes and I think it looks perfect. This is so delicious. It's just the perfect bite. I was at my sister's bridal shower a few weeks ago and I had a big plate of charcuterie and I made a cracker with some pepper jelly, some goat cheese, maybe some salami, and I thought this is the perfect bite. So that's what I was trying to do here, and I think we did it because the goat cheese is nice and tart. Then you have the sweet pepper jelly, the caramelized onions, which make everything better. It's delicious. You should definitely try this one. The full recipe and directions are up on my website. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Made in Louisiana.